Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos Parshas Mishpatim. It's Erev Shabbos Parshas Shkalim, and it's also Erev Shabbos Chodesh Adar. So it's a triple whammy. The Shabbos 3 Sifrei Torah, and the Parshas that we are in the middle of. We had last week Parshas Yisroi, and this week Parshas Mishpatim. The question that we've discussed in the past, I've been discussing it this week with various people. And the question I'd like you to ask at your Shabbos table, ask your parents, ask your children, ask your guests, the following question. Parshas Yisroi, the highlight, the climax, you can say of the Torah, of the history of the Jewish people, is the Kabbalah Torah, the Mattan Torah. We received the Torah on Har Sinai in Parshas Yisroi. The Parsha ends, and now we come to Parshas Mishpatim that deal with the mundane halachas of an Eved Ivri, and if you steal from someone, and if you damage someone, how do you have to pay? And the laws of the shoymrim, if someone watches your item for you, so how much, if it gets lost, are they responsible? We go from this epic Mattan Torah, amazing revelation from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we go right to these mundane halachas. So many ask the question, and that's the question I would like everyone to ask at the Shabbos table. Wouldn't it be more appropriate to go from Yisroi to Truma? Let's go from Mattan Torah, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down, so to speak, the Shechina, into this world. And let's go to Parshas Truma that discusses making a mikdash ma'at, making a mishkan for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, making the house, so to speak, for Hashem's Shechina. Wouldn't that be more of a logical progression? And then we'll get to the Mishpatim at some other point, maybe in Sefer Vayikra. Why go from Mattan Torah down to the Mishpatim, and then go to the Mishkan? It seems the Mishpatim are out of place. They should have been somewhere else. Mundane and the holy don't really seem to interact together, to be consistent. So the idea that I'd like to share with you is as follows. And I forget who I heard this from, but it was, in a sense, very easy for Klal Yisrael to say Nasa v'nishma. Obviously, it was a big nisayon for them, but when you saw the Shechina at Mattan Torah, you saw the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so it was very easy to say, that's what I want, to commit oneself to Yiddishkeit, to Shmiras Torah and Mitzvahs. It's another thing when you wake up Monday morning, you have to go catch the train and you miss the train, or you get to work and you get into a disagreement with one of your coworkers, and you're driving your car and someone scratches your car, and all these things start happening. A person goes back to their regular life. That's where the real litmus test is whether a person is dedicated to Torah and mitzvahs. The Kotzker says when Matan Torah is being recounted in Parshas V'Eschanan, so the pasuk says that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, "You stand here with me." Or before that, he says, "Leich emor lahem shuva lachem la'alechem." Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu to tell Klal, so go back to your tents. I mean, you were here with me now at Mattan Torah, and now I want you to go back to your tents. Says the Kotzker, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was telling Moshe Rabbeinu to tell Klal Yisrael, I want to see if you can keep the Torah in your tents. It's very nice when you're around Mattan Torah, and everything is quiet, and all the animals are quiet, and Hashem's Shechina is there, and there's the koilus and the brakim and the thunder and the lightning and Nasav and Ishma. But what happens when you turn away from Har Sinai and walk back into your house, and you find something you'd rather not find? You see there's a chocolate stain on the couch, or you see the kids fighting, or you see something else. How does one react then? So the real place of Kiyum Mitzvahs, the normal place, is on the battlefield, so to speak, what we call real life. That Shuva lachem la'ahalechem, go back to your tents and take the Torah with you. That's the lesson of Mishpatim coming after Yisroi. That it's not the Mishkan that's the makom, that's the makom to keep the Torah mitzvahs. We have to keep it everywhere. But the makom, Hashem tells us, go from Mattan Torah, go right back into the workforce. Go from Mattan Torah, go right back onto the 95 and start driving and take the Kabbalah Torah with you there. The Medrash Rabbah says that the Torah was given in the Boiker, in the morning, and the Mishpatim were given in the Erev. The Gemara brings, the Medrash brings Psukim to back that up. Says Rav Gedal Yeshua, the Torah was given in the morning. Boiker is from Lashon Bikoiris. Bikoiris is to investigate, is to get a clarity. In the Boiker, you're mavakir. You see, the light comes, you can see everything. Everything is clear. Parshas Yisroi, Mattan Torah is the Boiker, when everything is clear. The Mishpatim were given at night, in the Erev. In the Erev, things get mixed together. You don't see as clear. Things aren't always as geschmack and as, purpose driven as things normally are. That's where a person needs the Mishpatim. A person needs the Mishpatim dafka when it's dark, and the Mishpatim help a person focus and realize that Hashem is involved in every seemingly mundane aspect of my life. So Mishpatim is the most appropriate topic to be discussed after Matan Torah, because the Mishpatim are what keep us engaged in the Torah and the Kadosh Baruch Hu in our mundane lives. And that's the place where we're supposed to see whether we're really committed to the Torah and to mitzvahs. And I'll leave you with a Maisa. Chafetz Chaim's Levaya, one of his children, his son, said at his Levaya the following story, that the Gra, the Vilna Gaon, once went over to someone and said, "Give me Musar." The Gra wanted Musar, the famous Rabbeinu Eliyahu Vilna, the big tzaddik, who can be chaylik on Rishonim. He wanted Musar. Right? No one gives the Vilna Gaon Musar. Me and you, people feel very comfortable to give us Musar. Baruch Hashem, it's a diamond, it's a jewel, as Rabbi Victor Miller says. But the Vilna Gaon, Nebuch, no one ever gave him Musar. So he went over to some poor, unfortunate Jew, and he said, "Give me Musar." Right? So the guy's like, "Not a chance, I don't want to do that." He begged him. Okay, the Gra said, "I have to." So he tells the Gra, listen to this. He tells the Gra that it's very easy for you to be so holy and so kaddish and so engaged in Torah, because you go out to the forests and you meditate for months at a time. Come be a Schuster, come be a Schneider, come be a tailor, come live in the world, and also have that level of tzidkus. Well, the Gra heard that, and Mamish hit him like a dagger, and he took that Musar very seriously. He was very appreciative of the ziyad that he gave him the Musar. So the Chafetz Chaim's son supposedly was saying in his Levaya that was a mile that my father had, said the Chafetz Chaim's son. The Chafetz Chaim lived in this world. He lived in this world with all the Torah mitzvahs. They say that if he went in to see the Chafetz Chaim, so he'd be with his son-in-law. And towards the end of the Chafetz Chaim's life, Lav Dafka, everyone has long white beards and white hair. You couldn't tell who's who. And you would talk to them, and one person, when he would answer, would be measuring every word that he said. It was clear, he was chazering over, he was reviewing in his mind the entire set of halachas of Lashon Hara before he opened his mouth and said one word. And there was another person there, again, who looked very a rabbinic figure, who would just talk normally. So the person said, you would think that the person who you could tell was counting every word was the Chafetz Chaim. And the person who was talking normally, free, was the Chafetz Chaim's son-in-law, but it was the opposite. So the Chafetz Chaim was living the halachas of Lashon Hara. It became one with him. It wasn't external to him. He didn't have to think because it was Pasha. He was already programmed to only say things that were mutter. He would talk on that regularly, like a regular person. His son-in-law, a great tzaddik, was not on his level and had to chazer. It was still external to him. The idea being that we can't think that religion exists in the shul, religion exists in the yeshiva, religion exists in the Beis Medrash only. Religion exists even when I walk out of the shul into my car, I visit my family, I'm in the workforce, I'm playing in a park with my kids on a Sunday, I'm going to a kids event in school, wherever a person goes, I'm flying in a plane, wherever a person goes, Mattan Torah goes with him. And that is the lesson of Mattan Torah coming. And then immediately following, we have the Mishpatim, is to realize that the Mattan Torah is happening even in the Mishpatim, even in those mundane parts of life. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was there, and it's a mini Mattan Torah. We should all be zoiche to internalize this lesson and live a life of a constant Kiddush Hashem, infusing every seemingly mundane facet of our lives with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Have a good Shabbos and a good Chodesh.